Take a deep breath, exhale, and join us for this episode of Hope Out of the Darkness.
Shel Pavlis is a non-professional learning to navigate the world of suicide prevention. As a volunteer of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention in Orange County, California, she chats with people who, like her, are affected by suicide. Hear their real-life stories, learn how they keep living life to the fullest, and find out what can be done to stop suicide. Join the conversation with fellow AFSP volunteers and mental health professionals, all of whom have their own stories about suicide. Let's find hope out of the darkness.
Let's talk about suicide. I'm Shel Pavlis, host of Hope Out of the Darkness. I've been affected by suicide. Chances are you have too. In order to talk about suicide and mental health, I've created a safe, comfortable place for us to listen to stories from those who have been touched by suicide. Hope Out of the Darkness was born out of the volunteer work I do with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention here in Orange County, California. I'm definitely not a therapist or mental health professional, and a lot of times I struggle with the right things to say or do. It is a very emotional topic. So join me on my journey to try and figure out the right way to help stop suicide and save lives. Listen in as I chat with people who have lost friends and family to suicide, and as I talk to people who have attempted suicide. Many of my guests are fellow volunteers at AFSP and board members, and they'll help give us an inside look as to how to save lives and help those who are affected by suicide, while also providing glimpses of day-to-day what it's like to volunteer in a chapter. Episodes of Hope Out of the Darkness will help you get a better understanding of this leading cause of death. We'll talk about research on suicide prevention, mental health related to suicide, what you can do in your community to save lives, and hope. I'm honored to share the stories of how we at AFSP have touched others and how they have touched our lives as well. As a listener, you'll find common ground with my many guests and how they are impacted by suicide. And listeners will also get a sense of the enormous efforts and incredible rewards involved in working for AFSP-OC and what it takes to support the largest organization in the nation for suicide prevention. Suicide is preventable. Let's find hope out of the darkness. If you are in crisis or know someone who is, please call or text the Suicide Lifeline. You can find out how to reach the Lifeline by looking for the numbers in the show notes of every single episode. If it wasn't glaringly evident in today's episode, I'm not a mental health or suicide prevention professional, and this is not an official AFSP podcast. I am determined, however, to find a way to help stop suicide in my community and to support those affected by suicide.
Thanks for listening to Hope Out of the Darkness. To learn more about Shel, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and how to submit listener questions to be answered on the show, visit hopeoutofthedarkness.com.